Hey guys, welcome back to the show. Today I want to make a bit of a history video and explain a story that I think is kind of cool. And it's all about how did I end up with a black paint M2. If you're anything, or like a black paint M2, if you're anything into Leica cameras, and if you're not, I'll explain quickly. Black paint cameras are pretty collectible items. Back when Leica started making cameras, they would make them in silver. That was the traditional finish, and that's what they decided to pick. And they just made black paint when people wanted them, but it was kind of like an afterthought. People wouldn't explicitly want black paint cameras. It was just like, oh, you wanted black? Okay, we'll make them. So these in the M2, M3, M4 world, they were rare. And because they were rare, fast forward 60 years, they become collectible items, and because of that, they get collectible prices. So an M3 black paint, M4 black paint, M2 black paint go for 3, 4, 5, 10, 20 times more than a normal silver one goes for, and there's no other reason than the collectible part of it and the black paint. The camera's the same, they shoot the same, they do the same. But I want to explain how did I end up with this. So as some of you guys know, I work at a store here in Finland called Kamerastore, and we buy and sell and repair and check and clean cameras, mostly analog cameras. We are pretty specialized on all kinds of brands from Mamiya, Leica, Hasselblad, Rolleiflex, stuff like that. And because of that, we get all kinds of collections coming in, from the grandma that comes with a Zenit and a Helios lens, to the kid that found an MJU2 in their cupboard and doesn't want it and wants to get some money. And we do this every day. We buy things all day, every day. And sometimes there's big collections, sometimes there's small collections, sometimes they're valuable collections, sometimes they're not. But every now and then we get a big collection, and we sometimes different stories. But it usually is, someone in the family passed away, or I inherited these cameras, or hey, I got to pay for some treatment or something, and I want to buy a car. There was someone that wanted to buy a violin and sold us a bunch of lenses. Like, everybody has a different story for why they want to make their cameras into cash. So, fast forward one day, we're here at work, and my CEO, Jussi, gets a phone call from a collection that is in Helsinki from a person that's passed away with no family. So there's nobody there that will take care of the stuff, the furniture, real estate, art, and camera collection. But because of that, they have found people that are from galleries and stuff that are going to go and give them an estimate on the art and furniture that there is there. But there's a camera collection that they've estimated is valued at €0 or no value. And because we buy and sell cameras, maybe you guys are interested. So we know, sometimes it's valuable to go figure what could be happening. So he goes over there, goes over the corner, and supposedly there was all these people looking at furniture. This table, this chair might be at this much or that much, and this artwork, oh, look at that, and so on. And they're going through the collection, and he goes to the cameras and starts seeing Alpas and Leica cameras and Sumilux lenses and black paint M2 and all kinds of things. And he starts doing some quick math, and he says, okay, I estimate the collection might be between 20 to 30k euros, because there's some valuable items in there. I think there was a Noctilux and stuff like that. But yeah, things like this. So the guy was all impressed. He's like, what? We thought that collection was worth nothing. Like, he's like, oh, it's around that much. And because this person had no family, he had left in, I think, his testament that he wanted everything to be donated to an NGO or something like that. He didn't want the money to just go nowhere. So my boss basically talked to the guy, said, look, we usually take the stuff to shop, check everything, do the inventory properly, check the condition, check if they're collectible, check if they can go to auction, stuff like that, and then we can give you a final price. And the guy says, yeah, take it, go ahead. And it's Finland. There's a lot of trust here in Finland, which is amazing. I really like it because of that. People are trustworthy, and you can trust people. So he brings it all. And when he brings it to work, we're like vultures. We all going there looking at this stuff, and boom, pulls out a Sumeron 28, which is a lens I've been wanting for a long time, or I wanted before that for a long time. And I was like, next one that comes in the store, I want. So I see it, and I'm like, hey, I call dibs on this, and we keep the collection. And they're like, yeah, whatever. And then we pull out this black paint M2. And this is like, we can't show anybody that we have this yet because, it could be collectible and all this. And we have to be hush-hush at work. And you know, keep it somewhere safe and so on. And I look at it and I'm like, okay, it's a M2, but it has M4 parts, and it has like the M4 you know, preview window and self timer and the M4 advanced, and it has a couple other things. It has a flash port on the back and so on. So I see it and I'm like, oh, that's a nice M2, but whatever. I don't even have my thoughts on the idea of purchasing a black paint M2 because they're worth, you know, north of 20 grand, and you know, I don't want to buy a lens, or I'm sorry, a body that's worth like a car. I don't have that kind of budget. So we continue with our day. We put everything through the system. We do all our jobs, and you know, this Alpha is black paint and this M2 is black paint, and you know, we start researching sometimes the history of the items and so on. And we ended up keeping the collection. Actually, the company donated 35,000 to some NGO. If someone ever wants the details, they're somewhere. And everything stays. So I keep my Sumaron 28, and it comes with a hood in the box, which if anybody knows about the Sumaron original hood knows it's extremely expensive. And the viewfinder, and my chief product officer here is like, hey Nico, you wanted this, you know that the hood and all this is all expensive. I'm like, yeah, I'll keep it all together, it's fine, I don't mind. So I kept that and I ignored the M2. So we did all what we usually do. We repaired, we cleaned, we put everything. And one day before leaving work, suddenly on Friday, they're like, hey, they listed the M2 black paint. And I was like, what? They listed it? I thought this would go to an auction house, because these cameras tend to go to auction houses where they command collection prices, auction prices. And I'm like, oh, and I look, and the price is actually pretty low, considering what it is. It's priced around the price of a new Leica MP, so around 5.5 grand. And I'm like, that's kind of like the perfect price for me, because I would buy a new Leica, but I don't like the MP, I don't like the M6, and I don't like the M8. I like the M2. It's been my favorite camera for long, and if you watch this YouTube channel, you know that. So I'm like, I kind of want it. So I loan it. We have this system where we can loan anything in the store. So I take it off the shelf, I put it in my backpack, in the bag, you know, carefully, like properly padded and stuff. And it's being CLA'd here at work. So it's working like a charm, and I start shooting film with it. And next Monday I come and I talk to my CEO. I'm like, hey, what happened to the camera? Why isn't it worth, like, you know, hundreds of thousands or whatever it can be, like a black paints can? And he's like, well, when Leica made black paints, they kept very good record on the serial numbers, and this camera serial number does not match that of a black paint M2. And in their books, it appears that it was never black. So this means it's an aftermarket, so it's not original. Leica won't say it's original. So for that reason, it's just a black M2. Who knows how it got black? And I go like, okay, that's the perfect black paint M2 for me. It's a black paint with a story. It's a black paint that's not worth an arm and a leg. And it's a black paint that I don't mind using because of that. So I got it. I traded a bunch of stuff for it. So a lot of my collection went towards getting this one camera. And it turned into being my third M2. That's a different reason. I love M2s, so I can't say no. So I kept this camera, and to be honest, after that, I found out that it has M4 parts, like I said, the front and the viewfinder and such. And that's a really rare modification to do aftermarket, and it probably was done at the factory. So this might be off the books on Leica, but it seems to be original per se. And I'm very happy that it might be, or it might not be. I might never know. Because that's what I like about it. I like that it has a story. I like that I kept the lens and the body together. And I'll be 100% honest, it performs exactly the same as a normal silver one. Has nothing extra to it but the fact that it's black. But I like it in black. I like the story, and I don't like the MP. So if I was going to buy something worth 5 grand for Leica, I'd rather get this than a brand new MP. I never found the MP to be that for me, you know. It didn't click with me. So that's the story, how I ended up with this camera. I will never probably sell it. I will give it to my kids so they can inherit it, and they can do whatever they want with it, shoot it, sell it, or whatever. I hope they know the value of it when they do have it. And I've enjoyed it. I've shot probably 100 rolls with it. I've developed some, but I will continue developing more, and I'll share results with you. I don't like doing reviews without any pictures, but this is more like a story of how I managed to get a black paint M2. If you follow me on social media, you might have seen me put a couple pictures here and there. And I've taken it everywhere with me. It's been to the States, it's been to Germany, to actually Leica Wetzlar. It's been there. It's been to England and such, and I will continue to travel with it. And if one day it gets lost or stolen or something like that, it'll be a huge bummer. But, you know, this camera was meant to be out there and used, and that's what I will do with it. But yeah, that's the story of my black paint M2. And for those that don't follow Leica stuff, like, I'm sure you guys are just scratching your head thinking this is so silly or absurd. And it kind of is. But, you know, people decide to collect different things. I decided to collect this one piece of history and give it a life. And considering the story of how it got to my hands, I thought it was kind of cool. And now the lens and the body are together, and they shoot together, and they will stay together. This is not actually the Sumeron 28, it's a different lens. But yeah, thanks for watching. I'll leave a link to the store below. It's affiliated in a way, so you get a discount. I get a bit of a kickback, but it's not sponsored by anybody. The store doesn't sponsor me to say about all these things. But I thought it was kind of a cool collection and a story about getting a small piece of history here in Finland. But I really liked it. So yeah, thanks for watching. See you in the next one. Bye.